Hello, my name is Staff Sergeant Jasmine Nicole Clark. I am a Staff Sergeant in the United States Air Force. I am a 3F1, a services troop by trade, and I wanted to discuss one of the things that I had to deal with while working in lodging. Yes, we actually did used to do lodging on the Air Force bases at the Air Force Inns. And so I started back in 2013 in Italy, Aviano Air Base. That was my very first base. And I was stationed there for a total of 4 years. My first corps was lodging. And while working there, I encountered so many different characters, so many people who would just come up randomly, people who would call to make reservations and tell me their life stories, to dealing with people with attitudes, dealing with people who come last minute and didn't have reservations, no phone service, no vehicle, and having to try to figure out a way for them to get to somewhere where they stay, live for 30 days until they eventually get on their feet, have active phone service in this country, find their vehicle, and potentially find their home. But one of the first things I dealt with at Aviano Air Base was there was a government shutdown, and that meant basically everything that was government ran would be halted, including PCSings and the rotator. I remember one specific time there was a lieutenant colonel's wife, and the only reason why I remember that is because she had an issue with me telling her that space safe flights were no longer going to be coming in the days that she was trying to reserve for. And so with the government shutdown, it meant the rotator was not moving, meaning bodies that were coming on the rotator were no longer coming. I'm assuming she just didn't know, and she didn't like the fact that I was telling her. And so, thinking I'm doing the right thing, I don't know if it was my tone at the time, because I was 23 or 22, about to turn 23. And I just assumed she really didn't like how I told her, or the fact that I told her. But basically she called asking to make a reservation for, I think it might have been like a Wednesday, a space day reservation, because she thought she was coming on the rotator. So when I told her, oh ma'am, I don't think it's wise for me to make this reservation for you at the moment, as the rotator is at a halt because of the government shutdown. And she proceeds to say, you cannot deny me space in the lodging hotel. I'm a lieutenant colonel's wife. I go, ma'am, that's not what this is at all. Anyone that was projected to come on the rotator flight for this week is no longer coming, because the rotator is no longer flying due to the government shutdown. She didn't like how I said it. I thought I handled it professionally enough to where she could understand. She didn't like it, so she wanted to talk to someone else. At the time, I was an A1C, so I was an E3. And this was the only time I had to deal with officers' wives, officers enlisted, all of it. So I put her on the phone with our reservationist. And for some reason, the reservationist, obviously told her the exact same thing I said. And then that was it. So it's just funny how people don't want to accept truth or fact when it comes from I guess, someone at the bottom of the totem pole, but because I'd consider myself at the time a worker bee. So I knew the ins and outs. I knew what was going on, obviously, because I'm at the front desk. I'm the first face that you probably see coming to the or one of the first faces that you see. And I want it to be, obviously, as pleasant as possible. I don't want it to be more work for me, especially not emotionally. So, no, I just thought it was really interesting that even though I told her that she didn't accept it to be fact until she heard it from someone in a higher position than me, it happens. And it was whatever at the time. It didn't faze me one bit, but it was just something that I remembered, and it kept happening, not necessarily because of the government shutdown, but members having, I don't want to say having their spouses make the reservations and not understanding what I needed from them to complete a reservation. And so I remember specifically another time, I was checking in a family, and I believe it was, obviously the husband was the military, the wife was just a spouse, enlisted spouse, just a spouse. She wasn't enlisted, and I believe they had a couple of kids, and so I'm checking the husband in. He's the one checking in because his name is on the file on the reservation. And so I'm checking him in. I'm about halfway done. I'm like giving my brief, my spiel, to let him know how the lights in the room work, letting them see the map, showing them where things are on the map, where the club is, commissary, all those things. And in the middle of my spiel, the wife rushes in, I guess behind him, I don't know, and it's like, does this room have a kitchen? And he's just like, shut up, I've already checked us in. It's a TLF, of course it has a kitchen. And obviously he knew. I'm sure he's PCS before. Maybe he's PCS before meeting her or something. But I thought that was a really funny take on, I don't want to say stay in your place, but stay in your lane. Especially, like, don't come in being rude, demanding answers from me when I'm already, like, in the middle of doing something to help you and your family out. So don't do me like that. But I appreciated that guy. I don't remember who he was, what his rank was. He might have been a tech or a master sergeant, but I'm not sure. I appreciated him, and he probably doesn't even know that he, like, absolutely made my day that day. And I didn't have to, like, deal with any attitude from her after that. She, like, completely shut up. And I think she, like, walked back out with the kids or something. But yeah, that was another interesting story. And I'm going to finish off with one last story. And this is a little embarrassing for this guy. I don't know. I hope this never gets out to anybody who was stationed in Aviano Air Base back in 2013. But there was this one guy. I guess he was, like, trying to make moves on one of the other people that were staying and lodging on his hall. And apparently he was so forward that he went to this female's door with nothing but, like, a towel and a pillow, expecting for her to let him in. In the meantime, he forgets his key in his room and has to make the embarrassing elevator ride downstairs to the front desk to get a new key, because he's trying to make a move on this woman that lives, like, a couple doors down from him. So I really hope I really hope that person doesn't ever see this video. I don't remember their name anyway or their rank. I mean, obviously, when they came downstairs, they weren't wearing clothes. They just had a bath rag in the front and a pillow behind their butt. And then later on, after that, it might have been like 30 minutes later, the lady actually comes down and it's like, yeah, there's a guy, a couple of doors. And, she explained her perspective of the story. And I just thought, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. So, obviously the only thing I can offer is, to move her to a different room if she felt she was being harassed. And I think she ended up sticking it out. I think the guy was probably just too embarrassed anyway after that to try anything else or to talk to anyone, because I distinctly remember him, let's say if he's going to work in the mornings, walking out of the hotel and not making face, not greeting anyone, head down, tunnel vision, gunning for the door because he was so embarrassed by his actions. So yeah, those were some of the funny haha stories and just some of the craziness that I experienced firsthand within the first month and a half of me being in the Air Force, at my first base, at my first job, overseas. It was insane. But if you like these stories and you want to hear other stories like this, comment down below and I would love to elaborate. I could talk about some deployments, not exactly locations or anything, but I can talk to you about some of the other jobs that I've done since I've been in the Air Force. I think that might be interesting to hear and share my experience. So thank you so much for listening, and you guys have a good day. Bye.